Welcome into the Business on Purpose podcast. It's time to be liberated from the chaos of working in your business. Scott Beebe, your host, the head coach, the founder of the Business on Purpose platform, just got out of a client meeting this morning, and it's something that I had to absolutely share with you here on the Business on Purpose podcast. By the way, if you're struggling to get clarity around your business, just got out of a lunch with a group of guys that we put a vision in place for them about 1.5 years ago. And lo and behold, they've achieved just about everything in the vision. Don't think vision is important? Try living life without one. Proverbs is true. Where there is no vision, people scatter. mybusinessonpurpose.com/vision. Go check it out there. So as I was in the client meeting this morning, something happened. I've been coaching on this idea for a while, but I have to be honest with you, not many small business owners really go for it. And so you're going to immediately think this is something that is impossible to do or very challenging to execute, or it's really not. Something we call the daily huddle. I've formed the idea from a lot of different books, podcasts, things that I've seen, heard, read, and I've put this thing together called the 5-part coaching framework. And the 5-part coaching framework is really what the daily huddle is made up of. The idea is that just in the same way that a football team gets together at a huddle generally before most plays, in the same way a business team should get together and huddle very quickly at the beginning of the workday, or maybe at the very end of the workday in prep for the next day, depending on what your day looks like. Now, many of you, as I go through this, you're going to be tempted to go, well, that wouldn't fit our business. I'm sure you've not done that with a business like ours. Guys, can we just cut it? Honestly, what we're talking about on the Business on Purpose podcast are principles, more so than strategies. And although I'm going to lay out some strategy for you, the idea of getting together in a daily huddle is more principle-based, and it works. And it doesn't matter that if you're a tobacco farmer, if you are a fisherman, if you're an attorney, or if you're the president of any given country around the world. The idea of a daily huddle is powerful. It's a principle. And so before you say it wouldn't work in my business, just try it for 3 months and let's see if it works. What do I mean by this? So this particular guy, I was coming to meet with he and his team, and the rest of the team wasn't able to meet. And he said, I typically have our daily huddle at this time, and the day that we meet, I'm not able to do it. And I said, well, bring him in right now. And he said, well, it is our huddle time. And I said, let's see. And he said, you don't mind? I said, do I not mind? I want to see it. Yes, bring him in right now. And so the team came in. There were 7 of them in total. And here's how the meeting started. He simply said, Tanya, what's the biggest thing on your plate today? And then Tanya responded. And he then responded, what barriers can I remove? Number 2. What barriers can I remove for you? And she said, actually none. He said, great. Number 3, here's what I see. Here's what I see. Not what I feel, not what you made me do or anything like that. Simply, here's what I see. Here's what I see. And when he said, here's what I see, instead of the emotion of here's how I feel or whatever, she was able to take that and go, oh, okay. And then he said, does that make sense to you? Number 4. She goes, yeah, no, that makes sense. And he then said, now here's what I need you to do. So let me give you an example. Hey, Tanya, what's the biggest thing on your plate today? Well, I have to get the reports, I've got to run the reports. Great. Are there any barriers I can remove for you? No, it's pretty straightforward. Here's what I see is I think you've been spending the last 2 days on it. Does that sound about right? And Tanya goes, yeah, it's about right. And he goes, here's what I need you to do. Can you get these done by noon today so that we can get those turned in? And she goes, yeah, sounds great. And then he moved on to the next person. What's the biggest thing on your plate today? Can I remove roadblocks for you? Here's what I see. Does that make sense? Here's what I need you to do. Over and over with great predictability, so they knew exactly where the meeting was going. They knew exactly how they needed to get prepared to respond, and everybody knew what everybody else was working on, so there was great synergy in the team. Nobody was angry with anybody. And then he added this at the end. Hey guys, reminder that I will not be available until 11, from 11 to 11:30, and then again from 3 to 3:30. So if you have any questions pop up, try to figure them out. If not, feel free to come into my office at 11 and you will have my undivided attention from 11 to 11:30 to answer any of your questions. So what's he doing from the time the huddle finishes until 11 o'clock? He's working. He's in his office. He's doing what Cal Newport describes and writes out in his book, deep work. He's doing deep work. And he's given them permission to interrupt him at certain times, and he's given them an outlet to let him and everybody else know exactly what they're working on, so everybody's got great synergy in the team. And do you know how much time it took him? 6 minutes. It took him 6 minutes. From 8:15 to 8:21, 7 people, the same questions, 6 minutes, and they were gone. So instead of us saying, that's not going to work in my business, why don't we punch that idea in the mouth? And instead, let's say, I can't wait to implement this in my business, because the time it takes for me to stand at the copier and make a couple of copies and talk a couple of water cooler talks to friends around me, you know what I could do? I could walk through my entire team and ask 5 simple questions/statements and have incredible synergy for the team the entire day so that we can focus on deep work. You know what I saw when they got done? The word that kept popping into my mind was empowered. They were empowered. They were in that meeting, and the leader of the meeting was empowering them to tell him, this is what I'm working on. They were empowered. And they left with incredible confidence for what the day held and what they were going to focus on and what they were going to work towards the rest of the day. All because a leader decided to ask a couple of questions, make a couple of statements, and get everybody on the same page. You can do that too. A daily huddle. And before you say it won't work in my business, why don't you try it for 65 days straight? And then after the 65th day, then we can make a determination and say with finality, this will work or this won't work. That's the way you can get your team on the same page, as long as you're willing to implement and put in the hard work, which takes about 6 minutes a day to do a daily huddle. Thanks for joining me in my business on purpose.com/vision. We'll see you next time.